Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Hey, sorry about the audio quality.
That's basically going to be me also.
Yeah, that was my bad. There could be excuses out the wazoo. Like, my life is a mess right now, and just, like, something got messed up, and here we are. And there's also, like, I'm used to a mic in a certain placement, and I had to move it, and then you could tell when I moved just slightly away, because I have a very specific type of microphone that if I leave a cone, you can tell. And I left the cone of audio quite a lot, and it would sound like woo.
It sounded like Caitie was either a ghost or she was just really dodgy, just kind of coming at us from different angles.
Could have been both. I don't know. Maybe I'm dead. At this point, I feel like it. Why not? But I do have a fun antidote today.
Yeah, so real quick, I do just want to say, I do want to hear the fun anecdote, but real quickly, I do just want to say sorry to everyone. There were multiple comments about the audio quality for the last episode. I appreciate them. I do normally do the audio. I always do the audio editing for us before the show, and I promise I tried to salvage it. I did my best to amplify.
Yeah, it was worse.
Yeah. It was almost completely. There was a borderline where I'm like, I don't know if we can use this. I did my best. We did the best with what we had. But yeah, for people who don't know, our setup and your setup in particular has been kind of unique. It's like multiple microphones, the VoIP and the actual recording are separate. So not that we're going to bore everyone with the technical details, but for this episode, we're going to start trying some different things. And if one of the different things works for us, maybe that'll help us be a little more consistent with the audio quality. And also, I apologize for the 3 years that my microphone has done weird shit. I promise I've tried to fix it, and yes. I think I'm pretty confident that it's not the microphone, it's the voiceover, the internet call thing that we were using that was trying to boost it incorrectly that was causing it.
So we're hoping this new program helps us, and if you hate how this sounds, let us know.
Yeah, that's true. We think this is better, but hopefully you guys will let us know if the audio quality is generally better.
Anyway,
funny anecdote.
My funny anecdote. So today I was out and about onto town, cause like we're packing up stuff. So I wanted to we had some things that we weren't gonna move, so I wanted to donate them. And by their grocery store, there's one of those donation bins. And so I went to go drop off a couple things, and the person who empties the bins was there. I was like, oh wait, perfect timing. So I park and I get out of my car and I'm heading over there with the box. And this woman who's taking stuff out of the bins just looks like she saw a cop, drops what she had and starts just run to her car because she was stealing out of the bins.
Oh shit.
I honestly thought, naive me was oh, she's just there to empty someone has to empty the bins out. That makes sense. It's this woman with a big truck. Of course she'd be in.
No. But once she realized that the jig was up, what was your first thought then?
I didn't even know what to think, because I was about to say oh hey, I have another box. I was prepared to give my shit to this woman. And she saw me. Honestly, she dropped this thing that she was holding. It was another box, and she honestly ran to the driver thing and pulled away. And I'm like, what the fuck? If she had just pretend oh yeah, do you have another box? I would have been fooled.
God, if it was me, it would have just been a mad scramble to get my phone out and look up the Bad Boys Cop song on YouTube just so I could play it while she runs away.
It's also a person stealing out of a donation bin. I don't know I don't know if they're just that much of an asshole, or if they really need it that they're doing it. It's all junk in there. It looked like she had nothing of value, so I'm not quite sure she can hawk it on eBay, or does she just really need it? I don't I'm conflicted on how to feel.
People they can be very confused and in turn very confusing, because I have no idea how to rationalize that either, but people do it, right? And people do it, I don't know, presumably all the time.
I guess. I don't know. So yeah, they're I almost gave my shit that, honestly, if she just said, hey, can I take the box? I would have said sure, because, I just want it out of my hands. I don't really care who has it.
God, if only she had better, I don't know what the RPG equivalent is. Detection skills, thief skills, intelligence rating, I don't know.
Well, persuasion. If you just said,
yes,
oh, yeah, I'm taking it. Sure, yeah, have a 20-year-old printer. Fuck it, man. Hi.
She never rolls persuasion. She min-maxed herself out of. Apparently, she put all her points into agility and speed.
Yeah, she got away fast, by the way. Like, she was fucking prepared. I think the keys were the ignition because it was drop in the chair we're on.
So if you were going to rate her thieving performance 1 out of 7, what would you give it?
I'd give it a 0 interesting.
Woo! That's rough. That's like a Zevran right there.
That poor bastard. Okay, you all see the title. You know what we're doing here. But do we? Because we've like halfway through thinking through what we're doing today.
That's what makes us Split the Veil episode, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. So this is we kind of had a lot of fun like ranking things and just like talking through about like why we like certain things. So this is kind of in a way I understand if someone says like, oh, this is cheap, blah blah blah, but like we like doing it, so.
That is the thing. Like the companion rating episodes, they did pretty well, like from a quote unquote numbers standpoint. But I was telling you this over email, like I didn't even notice. Like fun fact, I don't really look that closely at how much the numbers do for the podcast. Really, I just go personally based off like how much fun am I having doing it, and I like doing the goddamn companion ranking episodes. Like I always kind of looked forward to them when it was time to do one. And so I figured we've never formally reviewed the actual games. Like we talk about Mass Effect and Dragon Age all the time, and we've done all the different episodes that we've done on them, but we've never actually reviewed them and gave them a score to sort of therefore rank them. So I figured we rank the companions. Why don't we just adapt our rating metric system so that we can rank the actual games?
Obviously we're going to do all of Dragon Age and Mass Effect, but I think eventually we should also do some of the other Bioware games. Like maybe this is when we eventually break down and do, like I finish KOTOR or something, you know, or Baldur's Gate and like try some of those and maybe like throw it in the rankings. Eventually I guess Anthem will have an episode 2 and that's going to be sad, but you know.
Here's the thing. Anthem is a game that we both beaten, right? So
that's true. We could do it. Oh, that was another comment we got in the last episode because you were like, "Oh, it was this long since Bioware releases," and we both fucking forgot about Anthem.
Well, no, yeah, but Anthem's whatever. Oh, I think in my original calculation, I counted Anthem.
Did you?
Yeah, I may not have mentioned it on the show, but I'm pretty sure I did for the tweet that I made. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I thought we just both forgot about Anthem. Like, okay, that sounds like in character.
Yeah, I probably didn't talk. Yeah, we probably didn't talk about Anthem on the show, but that's only because it deserves it. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke.
Is it?
Caitie, I have two sets of opinions. Okay, I'm like Hillary Clinton. I have a public opinion and I have a private opinion. There are lots of nice people who are content creators who I feel bad for in regards to Anthem. Me personally, I deleted Anthem multiple times off of my hard drive. And I would get angry when I would forget. I would go, "Oh shit, I didn't delete it again? Motherfucker, get off my hard drive."
Okay, let's get on with the show here. Oh god. All right. So kind of it like very similar rankings as we're gonna do 4 different categories. At least you suggested 4 different categories. Do we want to just like go over them now or go over them when we get to it?
So in the companion ranking episodes, we did character, romance, gameplay, and execution. And we can talk about specifically what we're going to do each category for in this case. But we're going to change character overall to story overall.
Mm-hmm.
But story, I think... so we're going to change it to story overall, characters and relationships generally, gameplay, and then also sort of execution and design. And I guess so we don't have to spend a ton of time explaining our criteria for each category. I'll explain kind of what we mean by story, And we should say we're doing Dragon. I mean, they can see the title, but we're doing Dragon Age Origins
Dragon Age
first.
Origins, yeah.
I'll kind of explain what we mean by story overall. We'll talk about it for Dragon Age, and then as we get to the second, third, and fourth categories, we'll re-explain our criteria.
Sounds good.
So story, kind of similar to quote-unquote character overall. Story is basically just, it's the premise of the story, it's the themes, not just the plot, but like, why is this story important? What type of story is this? Do we relate to the protagonist? Basically high level, what's happening, who is the driving force behind it, and why should we care, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, do you want to start off with the story?
Ooh, I was going to see if you wanted to start off for Dragon Age Origins.
I mean, I can. Here's actually going to be a good question. Are we doing this alone as an island, or are we going to consider, like, the rest of the series?
That's a very important question. So I was even thinking, like, especially when it gets to things like gameplay, I'm always very concerned about what's a 7. Right, if you're like a magazine, like a publication, and you're Game Informer, you have to be very careful, I would think, about what's a 10 out of 10, because you're comparing it to all games everywhere. I think for us, we're just saying the Bioware catalog, right? Like, what's a 7 as far as what Bioware does? So I would say yes, we're considering not just the other games in the series, but I would even say, like, I'm not gonna give something a 7 unless I feel like it's at or near the top of what Bioware has done across their whole catalog.
Okay. See, I was thinking, like, not really a problem with Origins so much, but, like, especially with 2 kind of becomes more interesting when you have the context of, like, the other games in the series. So I didn't know if, like, when we get to 2, we should consider that, or no, like, 2 as a story and, like, compare that more towards the other games and not so much the context it gives the game.
I think that's personal preference. Like, if you wanted to consider that in your criteria, but I didn't, I kind of tend to agree with you, actually, that we should consider it. But I think that could be like, yeah, I think we should count it. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know, like, we tried not to do that with characters when we did the character ranking, and that failed. So we might as well just do it.
Yeah.
We learned our lesson.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, the story, unlike pretty much any of the other Dragon Age games, at least, the Dragon Age Origins story is very standalone. Like, you could just play Dragon Age Origins and walk away satisfied, I think. Like, I walked away. I know some people, like, want the warden to return, but I think for the most part, like, it was a pretty satisfying ending, Yeah,
I agree.
Like, they're really, I'm trying to think of, like, and that was also something, like, when you hear about the behind the scenes, it's something they wanted to do because they didn't know if they were going to have another game. So they kind of wanted to have at least, something to tie it off nicely. Like, if you were with Severin or Liliana, you could go off and travel with them. If you were with Alistair, you could be off in the Wardens or be, in the courtly whatever as the queen or the consort. And if you were with Morrigan, you even go through her with the Alluvian. And like, if you, like, they had all sorts of, like, different endings you could choose, and, like, I think the story overall, it's a very classic story. Like, we kind of talked about this with the villain showdown in a lot of other episodes. But
yes,
it's I don't know, like, it's hard to poo-poo it because, like, it's the core story, and even some of the side quests is so just, like, hammered out, like, not like, yeah, well written, but, like, it's very smooth. Like, everything kind of fits together. There's really not that much of a part that I think stands out as, like, why are we talking about this right now? Like, it all kind of flows together in a good way. So, like, there really wasn't a time in Dragon Age Origins where I was confused at why I was looking at a thing.
That's very true.
So overall, am I gonna give it a 7? I'm trying to think of, like, what would I rate? Because here's the thing: there were other games I liked more. Like, I like Inquisition more because I like that story more, but I do think Origins was better told. So is that a better story score or a better execution score?
I think we're figuring this out, and maybe, I don't know, I would hate at the end of this for it to be a detriment to Dragon Age Origins, but I don't see any way around it. This is the episode where we really figure out what these ratings are going to mean, so I would say you go with your gut.
Fuck. That was not, I was kind of hoping like, oh, well, that would be an execution score, not like a figure it out.
Would it help if I explained a little bit of my rationale or no?
Yeah, why don't you go with your rationale and we'll work out the score together.
So to me, it sounds like a bit of what you're saying is maybe the difference between premise. Like, I agree. I actually kind of like the premise a little bit more of Inquisition from like a novelty standpoint, like having that organization that's quasi-governmental almost. Like, you're not a country, but you're engaging in international politics, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's kind of more like premise, but I don't think that would go into our execution category. I'm thinking that even setting and premise are going to go under the umbrella, even though they're not technically story, that we put them under that umbrella. And execution, we treat it like, how's the level design? How's the character design? And during characters, we would talk about, okay, how's their actual dialogue written? I think music might even go under execution and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, tell me what you think about the story. I
love Dragon Age Origins story. I think it's one of the best stories they've ever told. I do love the setting. I love how classical it is. I love how it's, two young wardens who are being thrust into the middle of a blight, and they're like, this is what it means to be a warden, and yet Alistair is the senior one, and even he's a young warden. And so they're caught up in the central narrative of what it means to be a warden, and in particular, your warden is completely new to that, and Duncan dies, and you've got this goddamn Witch of the Wilds hanging out with you, and there's like, it all fits. Like, it's a very classic story, but it puts you right into the hot seat. And I remember, and I've said this before many times, like, when you get done with Ostagar, there is this feeling of like, holy shit, we are embarking on this huge journey to save Ferelden and stop the Blight, and we're probably not ready for it, but we're here, so we're the ones who are doing it. And I eat shit like that up. Like, I eat that shit up. Fucking young heroes who have potential, but they've never done anything like this, and they've got to stick together as a team and help their friends and be braver than they've ever been to save the fucking kingdom. I don't care how cliche people think that is. I fucking love that shit. And like, to me, this is a time where I'll like get on a soapbox really shortly to say, like, I don't think story is plot. I think that story has plot, but story is not necessarily A happened, therefore B happened, therefore C happened. Story is, there's a person that you somehow relate to or can empathize with, and they have a goal, and they can't achieve their goal as they are. They have to change or grow or make allies or do something in order to achieve that goal, and it has stakes. You give a fuck. You actually care on some level what their goal is and what happens if they don't achieve their goal. That's not the same thing as, we're in this scene because of how the last scene ended. That's plot. But story is really, again, what's happening, who's driving, and do you care about them? And I think that if you look at Alistair as kind of a proxy for what the warden feels, but also Morrigan as being a good outsider who is sort of an unlikely but important ally. I think you end up giving a fuck about the lot of them, and the stakes are obviously very high. So I just think, like, as far as storytelling goes and everything that Bioware had done leading up to Dragon Age Origins, I think you could make the argument that it's sort of the perfect Bioware story after Baldur's Gate, after Neverwinter Nights, after Jade Empire, after KOTOR. It's kind of it's sort of like the last of the old and the first of the new. Mass Effect and everything else kind of started to, Mass Effect first, but I would say, like, Dragon Age is them closing the chapter on those classic RPGs that they used to make, and I think it's like the perfect iteration of it, so I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay. Mark down a little 7? All right. Well, I guess what I'm trying to think of is, why would I not give it a 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, like, for me, I really like a lot of, like, the mystical, like, strange story elements that I think 2 and Inquisition had a lot more of, mostly Inquisition, because that's my baby. But, and Origins kind of had some of that, but for the most part, like, the story and the plot really centered around more, like, human political, human as in, like, people to people, not necessarily human the race, story. And, like, I liked it, don't get me wrong. I was definitely hooked to Origins, but it didn't really hook me and get me obsessed like Inquisition did. So I feel like I almost... Do I want to give it a 6 now? I don't know. I'm really, like, on that border of do I need to knock it down because I didn't like it as much? At the same time, like, I know it's definitely better than Inquisition. Man.
In your heart, are you satisfied with Inquisition and Origins? Because it sounds like you're going to give Inquisition a 7 because that's your favorite. But are you satisfied with them both having the same score, with you having the little note saying, hey, they have the same score, but I like... or do you have to put Origins at 6?
Here's the thing. I don't know if I would give Inquisition a 7 because there's definitely room for improvement. I don't know if I could say that about Origins, which is maybe why it's going to get a 7. Just because, like, for what it is, I can't sit here and say, well, I wish they did this better. I wish they did that better. Like, I know people don't like the Fade and not Orzammar, but the Deep Roads. But, like, that's more of a level design. That's not really the story. So yeah, I think after a lot of hemming and hawing, I'm gonna go the 7 route.
Nice.
So yeah, and it's something we also didn't touch on. Like, there's not really one story. Like, depending on your origin and, like, choices you make, there's a lot of different, like, things that could happen. And, like, I do feel like there's kind of, like, a common story where most people that play kind of make the same choices because, like, we all want to be nice and be the good guy. But, like, if you just had a bad day and started playing Dragon Age Origins, you could really fuck some shit up and have a completely different story than your friend, you know?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's 100% true. And also, to your point about how it's not one story, that's kind of another reason why when we talk about story, we are somewhat talking about plot, but we're not, because depending on your origin, you could have a wildly different motivation for your protagonist.
And you can't really say that about the other Dragon Ages, because at the end of the day, your Hawk will always defeat Meredith or Nursino and survive. Inquisitor will always defeat, Corypheus and survive. Like, it all kind of, like, for the most part, like, they're not that much differences, but, like, you could die, you could survive. You're, like, you could have a baby, you could not. Like, there's a lot more variances. Like, you could... Like, for the most part, you could kill or shut off most of your companions in Dragon Age Origins, but, like, not really so much with the other games. So, yeah, I think that, and to its credit, which I know apparently that was, like, it was a lot harder to write the series going on because of that, but I think Origins is very special in that regard. I just don't think you're ever going to get that again, just because of how hard it is to iterate. I give up. You know what I mean.
They're not going to keep doing it, goddammit. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's done. Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. Like, we're probably, I mean, hope against hope. I kind of wish we would, but I don't think we're ever going to get anything like Dragon Age Origins again.
Well, especially since, like, in Origins, it's actually really easy. I don't want to say, like, super easy, but it's a lot easier to make a cutscene in Origins than it is in, like, the current. What is it? Frostbite? Like, that is so much more money and time and effort than it is for Origins. Like, you have some really good fan made, which I know they had the tool set they had they not exported. My God, my words today are just gone. Released. There you go. And that really helps. But, like, even then, like, there's some really good stuff out there, and you're never going to get that with Inquisition. Ever.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
Speaking of the companions, though, what do we say on characters?
Well, I went first on stories. This is your turn.
All right, characters in Origins. You know, it's interesting, right? Because I was gonna say I might catch some heat for this. To me, it's a real matter of like, okay, Alistair, Morrigan, let's throw Liliana in there. That's like, those are like your high bars, right? Like those are some of the most iconic and memorable characters. And it's not to say that I don't think like Sten is really good and stuff like that, because obviously he is a character that matters to the franchise. But like when, I mean, yeah, I don't know if I'm immediately convincing myself. I was gonna say like I don't know that I rank this cast as high as, like, honestly, say Inquisition, where I think to a person in Inquisition, like, they're all really strongly well written. Even if, whatever, Sarah's not my favorite, like, there's a lot of strong writing throughout the entire cast of Inquisition, whereas with Origins, I feel like it's a little top-heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means for the score, but I know it's like, okay, like, you got some superstars here. You got Morrigan, who's obviously, we ranked her as second only to Garrus, I think, in the entire catalog of Bioware games. Good God, what is the score going to be? Because Alistair is a heavy hitter, Liliana, Morrigan are very good. I guess another question that's different from the companion ranking episodes is like, how does this cast work with each other, kind of a thing?
I would almost argue they kind of don't. Like, unless, like, there's some banter here and there, but for the most part, there's really not that much interactions. Other than banter. Minus Morrigan and Alistair.
And that's what I was going to say, right? Like, well, the Morrigan and Alistair thing that's pretty cool, right? That's pretty unique. There's no other scenario where companions in a Bioware game can have a kid with each other, right?
I don't think there's any other child in Dragon Age that has a name to it.
Oh,
Minus
you're right.
Connor.
Yeah, that's right. And there's none in Mass Effect. So yeah, I mean God, I don't know. I can't just go 7 out of the gate, can I?
I mean, if you want, I don't think it necessarily deserves a 7. Which, keep in mind, this also includes NPCs and then the villain and like literally any character. It's not necessarily the companions.
Oh, that's right. That's a whole nother thing. Because we said we wanted to include antagonist also, and that brings Loghain into it.
Yeah. Now Loghain's a heavy hitter. The Darkspawn and the Archdemon, like, it's a good big bad, but I think, like, obviously we had a whole episode on this. Like, Loghain, didn't he win or no? No, who won?
The Elusive Man won.
Elusive Man. Oh yeah, okay.
but Loghain was right up there.
Yeah. And then for the NPCs, you have. I would say almost the NPCs in Origins are a little bit weaker than some of the other games, because like I can really, off the top of my head, you have Heron Wade, Sandal, Bodan, Honora, Bantegan. That's kind of like
Duncan.
Well, Duncan. That's true, Duncan. But like, and like you do have a couple others, but like those are really the fan favorites, you know. And we all make fun of Isolde, you know. So,
before I give the rating, how are you leaning?
See, which maybe you're gonna make an argument that this actually belongs in another section, which that's fine. But like, while there's really good dialogue with some of the companions, it's so much less interesting than what they do in later games. We're like, you're in different areas and doing whatever. And like, yeah, I know technically you can like bring your companions to like other places and talk, but like we all talked at camp unless you accidentally clicked them in battle. Like,
right.
But like no one really talked in like Orzammar or anything. Yeah. So it kind of like, it's hard for me to remember a lot of Dragon Age Origins dialogue because it all happened at camp and it all had like the same camp background at night, blah, blah, blah. And like literally like all of the interactions are at one space and it got boring after a while. And so like I don't know. I just don't think it's as well done as some of like, 2 or even Mass Effect or Inquisition. So I guess in the way it's presented, I would give that a mark down. The characters themselves are good, but like they don't really have a lot of interaction. Where like Dragon Age 2, there's a lot of interaction in between your companions, like in like different cutscenes and whatnot. You can like see them hanging out, and it's really neat. And then like the NPCs, like there's a lot of named NPCs that like I don't really give a shit about. Like Bella the barmaid, I don't really care.
Oh man, fuck Bella.
Fuck Bella. Oh, can't you? Or no,
Bella's the one in Redcliffe, or am I thinking?
Yeah, why did I?
You can kiss her.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
And you can
there
help
was
her get away
something.
from asshole face who owns the bar or whatever, or
Yeah.
own the bar or whatever.
Or
Yeah.
she can go marry Tegan. Fun facts.
Wow, did I know that? Maybe I forgot it. That's cool. Yeah, Bella. Why are you sleeping on Bella? Bella's got a lot of choice and consequence.
Well, that's interesting that you do have a lot of like NPC fates, but like I feel like when I'm playing, I don't care as much about the NPCs like that. Like there are a couple that I like, but like Bella never really cared for, just there wasn't really a story. It was just kind of there on the sidelines. And maybe people liked that. That wasn't really for me though. Like I would rather something like Sutherland where like there's maybe like a quest involved or he's a part of your organization. Like there's a connection there rather than just like some random barmaid in the middle of nowhere that maybe you saved. So I don't know. There's just something about the NPCs in Dragon Age Origins that like I think there was just so many that had like so many different fates that I'm like, I want to save you all and I don't know how and I'm overwhelmed. There's too many of you. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. Obviously Loghain's great. So I guess like I would maybe give it. I might lowball it here, but I'm gonna give it a 5.
Ooh, man.
Now, like Alistair and Morrigan are great and they're wonderful and there's a lot of great characters, but I think with like the encountering like everybody in the game, NPCs, antagonists, everything, most of it's forgettable.
I'm so conflicted. Like, there's a part of me that I definitely agree with what you're saying, and that's maybe what I was getting at too when I started. When I said it was top heavy, I'm just really trying to weigh how much am I swayed by just how top heavy it is. Like one, possibly or the second best overall companion, the second best antagonist. We also ranked Shale very high. We ranked Alistair very high. Liliana's not bad in there as well. I'm tempted to actually go 7.
You can. This could be my Zevran moment.
No, hardly. I mean, 5 is still a really good score, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
5 is still a really good score. I'm already trying to think ahead to like the curve. And I'm trying to think what else can honestly be ranked above this. And if there's not more than one, I feel like I am compelled to go 7. Holy crap. I'm going to go 6, but when we do the final wrap up, I would not be surprised if I end up going 7.
Okay. I'll write you down for a 6 now. So, gameplay. Now, I feel like gameplay, to most Dragon Age games, there's like the actual like fighting element, and then there's the, I almost want to say like the choice consequence system, like the role-playing part of it.
Sure, yeah.
And, like, I feel like the role-playing part of it, like, 10 out of 10, 7 out of 7, like, granted, I do almost wish there was a voice to the warden. I know that's wildly, people don't like that. I understand.
Yeah.
That's just my personal preference. But, like, I thought it was fine. Like, but the thing with the warden is that they had so many different options, and you also got to know exactly what they said, which is kind of nice.
Right.
But like they had so many personality options that you could do. I don't even know if we want to count modding, but that just made anything like endless. And like I don't think another Dragon Age game did it better. Like you cannot role play like as wildly different options as you can with Origins, and I think that's great. The combat part, it's good and people like it, but like there's some part of it that's a little bit clunky that like I don't know if it's because like it hasn't aged well or whatever, but I'm not saying it's bad by any means, but there is definitely a learning curve to it, and if you're not on that curve, you're screwed.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So yeah, I definitely a 7 from the RPG point, and I almost want to say that learning curve is so steep and so hard. I almost wanted to give like a 6 overall.
I mean, that's still a damn good score. And then you're right.
Yeah.
It has a lot of other things besides the combat, like the role play, but that's a high score.
Mm-hmm. So like that's why I do, and like I've been playing this game for however many years now, and I don't think I've ever gotten the hang of a warrior. There's just something about the warrior that just fucks with me. I can't do it. I kind of got a rogue mage. I got down perfect. Well, perfect. You've seen my streams; they're not great, but it's I'm better at it. But like it's hard, and like for some people they love that, and like there's a lot of people out there that are like protesting, like I want more Dragon Age. I want Dragon Age Origins 2. I don't want the other ones. Yeah. And I get that, and I understand it's a very unique system, but but I think the role playing part is so good that if you took out the combat, I would still play it. It'd be good. I'd be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably going fairly high as well in a lot of ways because of the role play aspect as we're sort of referencing it. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think you could say, kind of similar to the story, is that it's kind of like Bioware perfecting this, because in Dragon Age 2, although Dragon Age 2, especially combat wise, is very much like Origins, the animations make it feel different, and I guess just the makeup of the battles and sort of like how they're staged and the enemy types, even though you have a lot of the AI strategy stuff that you can program very similar to, if not exactly like it is in Origins, there's always this perception that Dragon Age 2 doesn't have that, and I think it's because it's not nearly as necessary. It's not needed as much. And so I love the how you can create rules for them about like, if this is happening, then use this ability, do this, protect this person, heal this person, attack this target. I think stuff like that is awesome. That's what that was kind of like par for the course in the Baldur's Gate days, and you still see stuff like that in Pillars of Eternity, etc. I think that's worth a lot. I think the amount of dialogue options, like you referenced, is that's worth a lot on the score as well. Mm-hmm. And yet, again, I'm looking for reasons not to give it a 7. I'm not finding too many, but I'm still hesitant to give it a 7 for some reason. Mm-hmm. It sure looks boring as hell.
Well, I would say that's the design, though.
Oh, you're right. That's true.
Yeah, I have a lot of things to say about the design.
Oh, you're right. Okay, well, let's not jump ahead. Gameplay. What do I want to give them for gameplay? And then, so this is another thing too. I was talking about how Dragon Age 2 technically has a lot of this, basically the same mechanics, but they don't feel as necessary. So is that a design thing also? I guess I'll have to think about that when I come to Dragon Age 2.
Yeah.
This is, whatever it is, it's high. I think it has to be a 6 or a 7 because it's gameplay. So therefore, we're talking about dialogue. We're talking about how you can create your character, how unique that all is. Mm-hmm. And amongst Bioware games, maybe Dragon Age Origins is the number one for being able to create a unique character, role play a unique person.
I would say it's not the best character creator, even including mods, but it does have the best roleplay options.
God, there's so many. Okay, so there's so many questions about this then. Is the design of the character creator execution and design?
Or is that gameplay?
I think it's execution, personally. Maybe that's a weird line I'm drawing, but it's like gameplay means like, because selecting dialogue options, essentially that is gameplay in a Bioware game. So like anything that feeds into like role playing as far as like how you act via the dialogue choices, because that's a very clear piece of gameplay. We put that under gameplay, but like the options that you can choose for character creator, I don't know.
You know what? Let us put it in design, because Dragon Age 2 has a very similar character creator. Like the bones are basically the same, but it still sucks a lot, and so I want to put that in the design portion.
I am. God, this is weird, but I am going to go with the 7 on gameplay.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Who did gameplay first? I think it was me. So do you want to do design first?
Yeah, I'll do design first.
Right.
Gosh, there's a lot to think about here, because we're talking about I guess world design, level design, character, physical design. We're probably throwing music in there. Now we're talking about character creator, kind of a lot of the not ancillary, but things that are very execution based.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think you're right. I think this is probably the category that we can hit it a little bit.
Yeah, this is gonna be rough.
How rough is the question? All right, let me start off with this.
Okay.
Even though I know there's a technology limitation, all that different stuff, like the level design, like what Denerim is compared to what it could have been, even for the time. Like, it looks bland, it looks generic. Dragon Age was really not developing its own unique art style until at least 2, if not Inquisition. And that's big because you're looking at the world everywhere you go.
Mm-hmm.
The armors, all of that stuff looks kind of generic. Even the way magic looks is kind of generic.
Yeah.
As a result, because they're still also kind of figuring out the lore and like really specifically what it means. Like even dragons, like I would say dragons look really cool in Inquisition and have those are Dragon Age dragons, you know?
Yeah.
They don't look like Skyrim dragons. They don't look like etc. But in Origins, those were all weaker elements for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But is it bad? Let's think about this.
I mean, I don't think it's a 1, but like, I'm probably gonna be pushing a 4, maybe a 3. Like, I'll have to talk it out, but
What are some of the things that jump out to you the most for that score?
I mean, for one, it's an ugly game. Like, let's just be real. It's ugly. It like even the people's faces, like you can make a beautiful face. They're like Morgan. Well, no, sorry, I'm thinking of mods.
I'm thinking of people who are. That's good. You're thinking of mods.
Yeah, no, like you can make some really good modded faces out there, and like, but some of the NPC faces, especially in Awakening, I don't know what Awakening. They were bored and said we're just gonna pick random because it's a mess.
They had to go fast.
They did too. But like Vanilla Morrigan, kind of fucked up looking. Let's be real with ourselves. She's not a beauty. There's something weird there. Like the makeup choices, like that.
Yeah.
That was definitely like looking at the makeup in Dragon Age Origins. You're like, all right, there was not a single woman on this team. Or at least a woman that had like any control of like the character creator, because like no one puts on I put on eyeshadow like that when I was like 5, and like I'm playing with mommy's makeup, it just did not look good.
Damn, shots fired.
It's true. Any woman who's played with a character creator, like, and with the makeup sliders, like, I'm sorry, what? What was this?
Yeah.
How do you think makeup's applied? But it's like, I don't know how people on consoles play Dragon Age Origins, because without mods, it would be, I don't think I would have fun replaying it, because it is so ugly and clunky, and there's just like a lot of stuff that just gets in the way that mods fix, and it's so great. And like I don't want to count mods in this because that's different. So like it is kind of weird. Like there's the Dragon Age Origins I play and enjoy a lot, and then there's like actually what it is. Which is, I don't know what they're gonna do for a remaster, because there's so many mods that are just so necessary.
I was gonna say, it's really interesting that we're talking about a game that has such great stories and character and overall gameplay design, but just has a lot of things that haven't aged well. It's almost like there's something they should do with it, like remaster it.
Yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. But it is like, it's so brown and gross. Like you said, like the designs are kind of boring. Morrigan's like, I think Morrigan was the character that was on all of the like promotional material, because she was just the most colorful and interesting character. Yeah. Like she had those purples going on. She had some weird makeup, the bright yellow eyes. She really stands out among the cast, like literally. Maybe second to like honestly Sten, just because of the weird white dreadlock hair. And which guess who was also in the promotional material. Exactly, yeah. So it's an ugly game. Now for the music, I think the music is it's not my personal favorite score, but it's definitely the most unique video game score I've ever heard. You don't generally hear bagpipes in your video game soundtracks that don't have anything to do with Scotland or anything,
Okay, that's the point.
So it's not they did something different with the music, and I appreciate that. So I would actually give the music a plus. And there's a lot of people that like it. It's not my personal cup of tea, and like especially like anything with like the lyrics. Like I know they have like a I guess it's supposed to be Elven, but it doesn't like mess with the in lore Elven song that's like like that. If you ever want me to sing, there you go. But I don't know. I kind of found that a little bit weird. Oh, especially the Liliana song. That was
when
like
she
when she sings at
camp.
Yeah, that was a choice. But yeah, like I don't know, the cutscenes and like the Bioware and I don't know, like the game kind of feels a little bit clunkier and like older, and I think even at the time it was a little bit ugly, right? Like even back then.
I mean, yeah, right? Because it came out. I mean, we have to remember this came out after Mass Effect.
Yeah,
and
Mass Effect I think was more colorful, wasn't it?
Oh hell yeah, yeah,
yeah. And when I think of Dragon Age Origins, I think of yellow browns. That's what I think of.
Yep.
Even with mods where you can get like all these colorful armors and stuff, like they're like no matter how many textures you put on, things are just gonna be a little bit yellow brown, and that bothers me so much that I'm gonna put this at a 4. That a lot of the design choices are just not good. And I know they're like they're like I think Call of Duty had the same problem. That's just kind of it, but it does look really generic, and like I think it was really the RPG element and like kind of the gameplay and like a couple of the companions and your relationship with them that really made the game stood out. But like if you were just looking at the game,
yeah.
So
I've been thinking about it now the entire time we've been going over it, and I think I'm going to go with a 4. Like, there's so many things pulling me in different directions. There's a couple of things that are worth maybe putting it higher, and maybe even a couple of things that make the case for putting it lower. But I think you stated it all pretty well, so I'm going with a 4.
Okay. We didn't actually touch on the character creator, and at least when I get back to that, I mean, I'll get to this when we get there. I think out of the Bioware character creators I have touched, Inquisition had the best character creator. Like facially, hair's a whole other story. But you can create so many great and wonderful faces with Inquisition, and I love it. You get like you can really get into the minutia and just like do some strange things, and I love playing around with it. Origins, it's like you can actually do a fair amount with Origins, but like there's some limitations. I think that's for the time, but there are like some quirks that have always really annoyed me. Like you can change the jaw of a dwarven man, but when you put a beard on it, it just fucks everything up and makes it really gaunt. Like there's a glitch there that makes your face really gaunt, where like you kind of have to hope that the beard you want, like there, I don't know how to describe it. And also this might be a PC issue. I don't know if this is on console, but like you make a face that you like, and then you go to the beard option. The first beard you choose to put on there, it'll kind of like change the face to like fit under the beard, and that's fine. I understand that. But the second beard you choose, it still does that, but makes your face like as gaunt as it will get it. And it's kind of glitchy. And you can like tell from the way the beards are designed, they knew that was a thing, and they tried to hide it by like putting one beard polygon that goes like straight into the face to try to hide it. And sometimes it's successful and sometimes it's not. But like, oh, it drove me nuts.
It's bad, and I think it's for human characters as well. At least I remember it on human characters that I've tried to make, and it's awful.
It might. Yeah, and I think I guess it'd be everything but an elf, because elves can't have beards. But it's not good.
It sucks, because anytime you want to have a beard, you're like, oh, this is fucking weird, and then you have to. Yeah, it's a mess. I completely. And the fact that that's such a long-standing bug sucks.
Mm-hmm. And it also like. I mean, maybe there were some limitations there, but if you open up the tool set, like the tool set, how to make an NPC is extremely similar to how you do it in game, to the point where I wonder, like, could you have just made a tool set like thing in the character creator? Because that would have been really cool, and you could have made like a lot of cool things, and that would have made this 100% better. Maybe that wasn't possible. Maybe I'm asking too much. That's fine. But yeah, I almost wonder, like, could they have done something a little bit different, and that would have been a lot more fun. Like, give me the 100 sliders. I'll have a great time. Overall, though, it's not bad. You can create something very competent, especially with mods. And like the hair choices for Origins isn't that bad, like in comparison to others in the series.
Right.
But yeah, which I actually like. We'll get there when we get there, but I actually think 2 had the best hair choices. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my review on the character creator.
Okay, so I think we're good on design. You had an idea when we were kicking this around over email, which I thought would be interesting. Was why don't we do at the end of these after we've done our ratings if there was one thing that you could change?
Yes. Have you thought about it? Or should I go first?
I have thought about it a little bit, but when you asked me that question, I immediately started thinking of the other games. So I actually have a list for like all the Mass Effect games first because I'm like, oh, that's such a great question.
Oh, gosh. So should I go first then, or so you can think?
Yeah, I say you go. I mean, I have a couple of things, but I'm trying to pick. If I could pick one thing for Origins, what would it go with? But yeah, you can go.
I think the one thing... Well, okay. Okay, now I'm torn on what that one thing would be. Okay, my original answer, the one thing that I think would make this game even better is that if you had more varied cutscenes with your companions. I think shout out to my good friend and mod maker Andrastini, who does some really good like cutscenes, so specifically Alistair, and there's a couple more others, but like where there's like, you know, you're in like not a hot tub, like a hot spring with Alistair, and like this like just like little moments like a lot of the other games have, or like you go out to a bar together with all your companions, like just some more like you hang out with people in other places other than the camp. Or if it's at the camp, like there's like the campsite had all these like strange little features that you never really use. So like just something like that. Like go talk, like there's a fucking cow there. I don't know. Go talk to the cow. Like just do something with your companions. So that's what I would want. Like it would be really cool that like maybe you have Ogren in your party and you go to a bar and he goes, Warden, let's have a drink. And you can have a drinking contest with Ogren. Just something stupid like that. You know, just like little fun little moments like that I think would have been brought a lot of like character to the characters, like to the Warden, like to your, like bond you to your party a little bit more. And I think that would have been something great to add. On par to the point like where I can't decide which one would be better is just a graphical update. Just make things colorful, update some of those armors. Like if this was a remaster and like they just like kind of smoothed out some of the armors to like bring some of the armors from this, like give Grey Warden armor. Just bring that from the Dragon Age 2 or Inquisition. Just ironed out some of the lore so it's a little bit more, it gels a little bit more. Would have been great. So it's but the thing is you can do a lot of that with mods. So if it's just something that can't be done with mods, it would definitely be like more character interactions. Something that like I think maybe just overall and something that'd be easy to implement, then it would just be essentially what you can do with mods as a graphical update. Make things more colorful, get rid of some of the weird effects and the fade, update those armors, that kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm a little bit torn on which one to say, but like since you could kind of already do one, I almost want to say the character interaction ones would be better. But
yeah. I mean, that would be great. I mean, obviously characters are a big part of what drives Bioware games, so I fully agree with that. For mine, it's more gameplay focused, but that's just the idea that I wish in particular the classes could have been redone to make them feel more distinctive, because ultimately, if you're playing Origins, you should just fucking play a mage and be done with it.
No, that's true.
Because like Rogue is boring and it sucks, and Warrior, in my opinion, is highly effective but also boring, and so it sucks from that standpoint. Like I can be very effective as a warrior, but it's like whoosh with the sword. Woo. It looks like he's going in slow motion with like the sword, and then the shield. Like, here I go with the shield.
No, that's true. That's absolutely true. It's also like archers don't really get good until like Awakening.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say they don't get good until Inquisition.
Yeah, so okay, that's actually another good one too.
It's just like the class, and here's the thing too. Like I don't necessarily, when I say one thing I would change, like I would like if you could talk about a remaster, that's a whole other story. But I just wish they could have an Origins sort of punched it up maybe a little bit from the animation standpoint, but not Dragon Age 2. Like, I'm pretty good on Inquisition. That's, like, a nice middle ground for the style of animations. I'm not necessarily a fan of the, like, I'm a Power Ranger flippity-doo-dah animations of Dragon Age 2. It's a little much.
Yeah, they were creative.
Yeah, yes. It's a very creative way to throw a spell if you're a mage, but a lot of wasted energy, man.
Hey, you looked like you were in 2011 and looking cool.
And they look like the sign twirlers that they put outside of like a sandwich shop or something. They look like those goth kids that were dancing underneath the overpass.
Oh God, what a reference!
You know, they did a reunion.
What? No, really?
Yeah, they did a reunion. They're all in their 30s now, and they like some of them are still like in the scene, and some of them aren't. But they did a little video reunion thing.
Oh, I have to look that up. Please tell me like one of them brought their kids, and their kids was like 14 or something.
I don't know. My girlfriend showed it to me, and I saw like 15 seconds of it, and I'm like, oh God, that's funny, actually.
That is fun. I have to look that up now. Did they do the same dances, or would they like the people in like that like grew out and like had a job now? It's like I just kind of came here to meet some. Yeah, I kind of embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean the clip that my girlfriend showed me anyway. It's like they're kind of dancing, and some of them are even dressed up in their whole getup, and some of them are just like they look totally like non in the scene now. So, but they were kind of dancing. I don't know if it's the exact same one or what have you, but that's a good sense of humor. Like no matter what the person is, if you can go back and reference that, it's pretty funny.
Oh man, there's gonna be some people like, I'm sorry, goths under an underpass? What the are you talking about?
That's a universal meme, man. I hope that's global.
I know. Well, even like I think some of the dances even got ported into like Fortnite now. So like most people might recognize it, like, oh, I recognize that Fortnite dance.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh God, what were we talking about?
It would be cool if the animations were better in Origins gameplay.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Especially, the two-hander just feels so slow.
Yeah, and archery should feel cool. Like archery should, and I would say archery and Inquisition, actually, you can actually feel like a cool fantasy archer in Inquisition.
Mm-hmm.
It would have just been nice if Rogue felt more distinct and not just like weaker warrior, and if warrior actually felt not just like slow warrior. But yeah, that would pretty much be mine. Punch up the classes, maybe through animations, more unique abilities, things like that. I think that one small change would make Origins even more replayable from a gameplay standpoint.
I agree, actually. Yeah, trying to think of like how I would prioritize, like if all three of these could be done, which one would be done first? Like, I might make an argument for like the beautification to be first, but like I don't know, that game, like punch up the gameplay, that's pretty damn important. Like that might take the cake. And then like the extra character things is just icing. So like get to that last, but it would be really good.
Yeah. Did we already do an episode that's like a Dragon Age remaster wish list, or did that just kind of get shoved into something about the Mass Effect one?
I don't remember. We're kind of getting to the point where like when you say, Caitie, let's do this, I have to go through our catalog.
Yeah,
like, did
same.
we do that already? And like sometimes like sometimes we'll like kind of do one thing and then it turns into another, and so you can't really tell by the name. I'm like, maybe we did this in another one. Like for all we know, we've actually ranked this before on one episode, but it was named something weird and I didn't catch it. Like,
especially because we did really weird title episodes in the beginning too. So
that was my fault because I thought they were fun.
They were fun. I mean, they fucking were fun. But now when we go back, it's like they're very unique.
Yeah. So if you're wondering why the titles got boring, it's because we're old and can't remember what we've done anymore.
Like we are on the path where we're gonna do it. You realize we're gonna do it, right? And also like nobody helps us produce this or anything. It's just us. We're super busy. Mm-hmm. We are going to come up with an idea, record it, edit it, and upload it, and it's not going to be until the first comments come in where they're going to be like, you guys did this 20 episodes ago.
I have almost done that on the Ghildirthalen channel. I have gotten to the recording audio stage. I wrote a whole other script of the exact same fucking topic I did like at the very early stages, and I had to be like, wait a minute, and like I had to go search for it, and sure enough, I even like compared scripts, and they were like similar enough, and I was like, oh my god.
Do you upload your scripts to Patreon though, right? Did no one catch it?
I do, yeah. Well, sometimes I'll record the audio before I upload it to Patreon, because sometimes I make changes that I want to throw in the script, and then I'll upload it.
Okay, yeah.
So, thankfully I didn't get to the uploaded part, otherwise people have been like, why did you re-upload? Wait, no, you did. Wait, girl, are you okay? I've gotten pretty damn far before I caught myself.
I feel like it's gonna happen to us eventually, and that will be a fun and sad moment.
Yeah. Do we even want to do that on purpose? Here's maybe this gets edited out for a surprise, but on our 100th episode, do you want to revisit the topic of our first episode, which doesn't actually make any goddamn sense because it was about Dragon Age 4 and Anthem and whoops. But
I mean, Dragon Age 4 still won't be out by then, so it's...
Do you think? Because like, girl, maybe. Because we're only in the 70s, but like...
We don't do one every week, so we should be at if we don't miss any, we should be at about 26, 20, something like that in a year.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, we could be into the 100th. Oh, man.
There's a real possibility, it's a real possibility that could be a thing.
Yeah, so I'm almost positive we've already had like some like this was adjacent to a topic you've already did, but I don't know. Yeah, I feel like this whole podcast is just an experiment on how long two Chuckleflux can talk about 3 games. 6 games, sorry, with Mass Effect. Well, let's throw in Anthem and Andromeda, but still, like, it's not that many.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is, and it's all, I mean, it is, yeah, you're right. But hey, as long as it's still fun for us, I'll keep doing it. But
yeah, that's true. So, are we done? I don't know how to call, because like before when we did characters, I would like quickly calculate and we'd say like, oh, Morgan was number 1 then Elster, but like it's just one. So like I feel like I'm missing a job here. I'm missing a step, but there's no other step.
Yeah, there's no other step. Final thoughts? Any final thoughts on Origins?
It's very good, but it's I still like Inquisition better. I don't know. Like I know it's not the most popular one, but I really love Inquisition a lot. Origins is very good. It's what got me hooked on it and what got me propelled to actually play Inquisitions, but Inquisition will just always be my favorite. So, I like Origins a lot, but and here's the thing: I know Inquisition's more flawed, so that's I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm very interested where I'm going to end up with Dragon Age. I very recently did a video with the Exalted March channel about Mass Effect 2, which lots of people had feelings on. So everyone knows my rankings now of the Mass Effect, my re-ranking of the Mass Effect trilogy. But to be honest, I don't think I've really given thought to formalizing what my ranking of the Dragon Age games are. And so I kind of don't know what's going to end up number 1. Maybe I will end up... I mean, I ranked Origins pretty fucking high, except for Execution.
Yeah.
Maybe it will end up being my number 1. Maybe Inquisition will. I don't know yet. I'm waiting to find out like everyone else.
Here's a question. What happens if you rank Dragon Age over Mass Effect over something?
I mean, that's possible, right? Because like... I mean, I love Origins. I love Inquisition. It wouldn't mean anything to me. I guess, yes, I end up saying, oh, I like Mass Effect more than Dragon Age, but that's almost like, I love them both. Like, I really do.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until sort of being more in the Bioware community that I realized how many people there are that are actually bigger fans than me of Dragon Age kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was the biggest fucking Dragon Age fan of the world because my friends play Call of Duty. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I love this thing more than anybody. And then I met the rest of the Bioware community and I'm like, oh, I'm like mid-tier Dragon Age fan. I forget the Elven Pantheon sometimes and all that. So
yeah. Well, okay. I guess with that, Jordan, where can they find you?
Folks can find me at the Exalted March on YouTube. Where can folks find you, Caitie?
You can find me at Ghildirthalen on YouTube and maybe Twitter. Depends on my mood. What day is it? Has someone made me a PM I don't want to read? Probably not that day.
Twitter is such crap. Like, dude, Twitter is such shit. Every time I go on there to post anything and to just like promote or whatever, I just read something and I go, nope, I'm closing it.
The amount of times I've started a tweet and go, nope, I'm not.
Yeah, you can't. You got to back out of those.
Yeah, back out every time. Maybe I should talk to this person. No, I'm out. All right. Bye. Anyway, Terrestrial.
That's it.
That's it. Bye.